All right, guys, let's talk about it. The Spurs win the NBA lottery, draft, whatever you want to call it, and there are a few losers in this one. Let's talk about this Hoops Nerd Show. All right, guys, before we get into this, make sure you go to PricePicks.com, use promo code HoopsNerd for $100. You use promo code HoopsNerd, they will match up to $100. You put $5 down on Victor Wembanyama for Rookie of the Year. Well, actually, no, it's on props. But during the season, you put the over on rebounds for Victor. You put the over on blocks for Victor. You will surely win because the Spurs are going to be good and you are going to make a lot of money this season, Spurs fan. But you got to go to Prize Picks. Use promo code HoopsNerd. I would appreciate it. All right. Well, I was just debating if I wanted to do a video tonight, but you know what? I love the draft. I love the lottery. The Spurs do it again. So they go through the whole draft process, the whole lottery process. They pick all the different, the ping pong balls with all the different scenarios. And the Spurs come out on top again. Congrats, Spurs fans. You just got the prize jewel of this draft. You have a prospect that we have not seen ever before, anything like him ever before. It's basically on par with when LeBron came into the league, when Lou Alcindor, a.k.a. Kareem, came into the league. Oh, and another guy that the Spurs got with the number one overall pick, I can't even talk, by the name of Tim Duncan, the San Antonio Spurs. I'm just disgusted by your luck. I'm disgusted that this all worked out for you, that everything just went according to plan for the San Antonio Spurs. Not jealous at all. Right here that they get this prospect. Now, let's just talk about it for a minute. This guy is unbelievable. He's 7'5" without shoes. Apparently, there are reports out there that it's like the first time that the camp from Victor Wembanyama is actually trying to leak that he's shorter than he is, because for some reason people are scared that if you're 7'6", that it's a bad thing. But he's 7'5" without shoes. He has an 8-foot wingspan. Longest wingspan ever recorded in the draft was Rudy Gobert, and he didn't hit 8 feet. It was like 7'9". I can't remember what it was. It was crazy. Now we're at 8 foot. He is what you create in a video game when you get the tallest player, the longest. Oh, he's the best defender. Oh, and he can shoot. Basically, what you got is Rudy Gobert on defense, and then like a mix of Kevin Durant and Dirk Nowitzki on offense. He's going to be unbelievable. And for Spurs fans now, congrats. You basically have just an absolute superstar, 10 to 15 years. Because he's foreign, it's more likely that he will stay with the Spurs for a long time. That foreign stars tend to stay longer if you treat him well. And so Spurs fans get all the luck. They get all the nice things, while all of us other fans are left in the dust. Congrats. I hope you're happy, Spurs fans. He's going to be incredible. All roads, basically for the next 2 years, enjoy it, every other fan base. I hope you enjoy your seasons. I hope you enjoy your cute little teams, because after the next couple seasons, all roads go through San Antonio to the finals, okay? Because that's how good this guy is. Basically, at this point, the Spurs have to figure out how to get a player or two around him, because he's incredible, but they do need at least some sort of secondary and third star, kind of like the Bucks did with Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday. That is the next step for the Spurs. Can they get those guys? He is going to be incredible for you. Spurs fans have to be ecstatic. Have we said enough about the Spurs? I think so. I'm about to vomit. I can't believe that, everyone wanted it so bad. I'm not jealous at all. All right. Let's talk about some winners and losers in this draft. Basically, everyone else is a loser. No, just kidding. If you didn't get Victor Wembanyama, you lost. But there are some guys that really lost. Oh my gosh, Ezekiel Raisibe, thank you for the donation, my man. Shout out to Australia. really incredible country, incredible just accents, and you're really, really great in the Summer Olympics at a lot of things. But Ezekiel is my man. He is the man from down under. Thank you, my friend. $9 for the number 9 pick for the Jazz. Yeah, we'll get to that. But let's see. So, winners and losers here, and I'm going to share this screen. Okay, so here's the order from my beloved SB Nation. Oh, I wore a green under hat. Look at that. That looks weird. Anyways, Charlotte Hornets get the number 2 pick. You're winners, basically, because now guess what? Charlotte gets to pick between Scoot Henderson and Brandon Miller. Because LaMelo Ball is so young, I think that's a situation where, you know what? Maybe you go by position and maybe you just go get Brandon Miller, because Brandon Miller is really good and a lot of people have him second anyway, and he would be a nice pick next to LaMelo Ball. Kind of a perfect thing. Charlotte has to be pretty ecstatic that they can get Brandon Miller. And maybe Michael Jordan isn't looking at trading that number 2 pick this time. Or not trading that number 2 pick, selling the team. He might be like, you know what? This Brandon Miller guy might be pretty good. 3rd pick, Portland Trailblazers. Huge winners. They were supposed to be the 5. They jumped to 3rd. And basically, it's a perfect spot for them. Outside of getting the number 1, this is a great spot. Now, it kind of sucks if the Charlotte Hornets pick Brandon Miller. I think Brandon Miller's the guy for them at 3. And if he's not there, you know, you're going for Scoot, because Scoot can play next to Scoot is going to be taking the ball from Damian Lillard. You know, you want Scoot to have the ball in his hands because of what Scoot does. And so Portland getting a chance to draft Scoot is incredible. Maybe they trade back. Would you like someone from the Jazz? I would not mind trading up, but I doubt Portland will do that. At worst, they can trade back a couple spots. Like maybe Houston wants to get that 3rd pick. Maybe Houston wants Scoot. Maybe Portland's like, you know what? We're okay taking Jalen Green and your pick, and you can have Scoot, and there we go. And, you know, maybe Houston doesn't do that. I don't know what Houston thinks about Jalen Green, but it hasn't gone very well. And Houston might be interested in someone like Scoot Henderson. So that's something that might happen. But yes, the big losers of this draft, we are now there. Houston and Detroit. Detroit being the biggest loser of this draft. Yes, and this, I'm a Jazz fan, so Jazz fans, yes, we did not jump, but at least we did not drop, okay? The Detroit Pistons had the worst record in the NBA. They were the number 1 team in draft lottery odds, and they drop to 5. I mean, how painful is that? Detroit City bad boys, more like sad boys of Detroit. My goodness, terrible, awful sadness for Detroit. They don't even get a chance. I mean, you're at 5, you're getting like Jarris Walker, which he's a nice player and he'll be a nice fit next to like Cade Cunningham. But man, to drop from 1 to 5 is brutal. The same goes for Houston, because I think Houston was 2. Drops to 4. That means you aren't getting Scoot Henderson. You aren't getting Brandon Miller. I mean, Amen Thompson's pretty, I love Amen Thompson, and you know, that's why Houston can at least be a little bit happy, because I think Amen Thompson has some serious star potential. There's also some serious bust potential with Amen Thompson. The Thompson twins, I love them. I think they're incredible. They are also the scariest players in this draft to draft, because they could take you to the promised land, and they can also get a GM fired. Because if you don't hit, could you imagine if Houston, I mean, Jalen Green just has not really worked out. And if they go get Amen Thompson, and if he doesn't work out, whoo, man. I mean, that number 4 pick, that Houston pick looks to me like one that might surprise us, because they kind of need, it wouldn't be surprising if they're kind of like, they freak out and they go for a sure thing. Like maybe they pick Cason Wallace or someone like that you're like, you know what? We need someone that we know is going to be effective. That's going to be interesting to watch. And then Detroit, I mean, I really like Jaden Ivey. I think he's going to be really special. And Cade Cunningham, they've already won the number 1 pick, so they can't really complain too much. But to drop from 1 to 5 is just brutal. Just brutal. The basketball gods did not approve of the tanking Detroit Pistons, and they punished them today. They punished them today. So Detroit, I mean, you're not getting Amen. You're not getting anyone of that tier. You are getting Whew, I mean, I guess they get Cam Whitmore. That's pretty good. And maybe that's who Houston goes after just to, Cam Whitmore is pretty nice. And so that's going to be really interesting. So maybe Detroit does get Amen Thompson. We will see. It's going to be a fascinating draft, but the draft starts at 2, 3, and really 4 because Brandon Miller, I don't know. It's going to be a fascinating draft. All right. 6th pick. At this point, it was chalk the rest of the way, so you can't really complain. Everyone else who got their pick, you're in some ways, all of you from 6 to 14 are winners because at the very least you're not the Pistons or the Rockets and you did not drop. So, you can't complain too much. I was scared to death as a Jazz fan at 9 that one of these teams behind the Jazz were going to jump, So, pretty nice. And for the Jazz, 9 is a nice draft. That's the thing. Like this right here, this area for these guys is pretty decent. And they're, Cam Whitmore is really nice. I'm not quite as high on Cam Whitmore as some people, but he's going to be a nice prospect. And if he's in the right development, he can probably become something really nice. That's the other thing is, so many of these teams, it really depends on the development staff. What can you do once you bring a guy in? But, Utah stays at 9, doesn't drop back. Same with Washington, same with Indiana. And you've got to be really happy if you're the Dallas Mavericks because, man, if they'd have dropped back, they'd have lost their pick to New York. So in a way, the New York Knicks are losers tonight because Dallas kept their pick. So that's another loser. Everyone else really is basically a winner for keeping their pick. Orlando had a nice night because this was the Chicago pick. Orlando keeps it. If this jumps into the top 4, then Orlando would have lost their pick. So Orlando, in a lot of ways, is a big winner to that tonight. Look at this. The Orlando Magic get the number 6 and the number 11. And in this draft, those are going to be 2 solid players. Victor Wembanyama is going to be incredible. I think it's going to take a couple years. I know after talking to Rafael Barlow that him and his camp and his family and everyone around him wants him to develop slowly, just so he can acclimate to the NBA grind because, you go from Europe where you're playing like 1, maybe 2 games a week at most, and you're getting all that prep and that rest time where you're going to the NBA and you're having back-to-backs, travel, 82 games. Now they're adding on a midseason tournament. You've got the play-in game. I mean, he's going to be incredible, and the Spurs are going to not be the second worst team. They're going to be, they're probably going to be drafting in the top 10 again next year unless Victor is just, they just don't have anyone. The Spurs traded everyone they had. There's just not really anyone there that's very good. And so I think they might be a borderline playoff team next year. I could also see them being bottom 10 as they play Victor Wembanyama 25 to 30 minutes a night. And Victor's going to take time to acclimate. I think he's going to be absolutely insane, but I also think they want to be careful and you don't want to, we watched what happened with Chet. He's got a thin frame and he was out for the year. You want to be careful with Victor. He's done a lot of things. I know that they've done things where they're like working with his feet to really help him stay healthy. Honestly, he's the perfect prospect. But all that said, they're still going to ease him in. I could see 25 to 30 minutes a night at most. And because you're looking to develop him, get some more players to play with him so that in 3 years you're a contender, which I think they could be. 2 to 3 seasons. It's not going to be that long. He's that good. Nowhere else to go with this other than that it was really fun. I was very, very disappointed when I saw the Jazz stay at 9, but I was also very happy when I saw this stay chalk and the Jazz did not drop back. So pretty fun. Guys, that's all. I wanted to do that tonight. I'm going to start doing more post games because I was watching Lakers Nuggets tonight, and I think the Nuggets are in a little bit of trouble, even though they won. But we will talk about those. Maybe next game I will do a post game. Anyways, guys, if you're new here, please like and subscribe. If you would like to go play Prize Picks, I would appreciate it. Go to PrizePicks.com. Use promo code HoopsNerd.